meditation will be led by Patricia Guy. Good morning. Well, some of you that know me know I'm celebrating no pins, no rods, and no external fixations, and no brace. Yay! Still only go to there, but we're making progress. So, since May, pain has been one of my teachers lately. And one of the things I've been investigating is how can the ability to focus, that meditation is really about focusing our minds, help with pain. And then whoever guides me must have a sense of humor, because they also gave me complex regional pain syndrome as another thing to work with that slows down the progress. Raise hands if you've had to deal with complex regional pain syndrome. Anybody here? Oh, good. If you've had it, you'll know what it is. It's incredibly fiery, every nerve ending, alive sensation, lots of inflammation, and you do everything that you're told and it's still with you. It's incredibly frustrating. So I wanted to share a meditation that helped me while I was working with this, that I learned from one of my yoga teachers. And it's one of the things about pain that I learned is when I tried to do the present moment focus with it and give it too much attention, more fire, more pain. So you want to give it enough, you want to give the pain enough attention to make the correction. Like when I had the rod, you want to refocus it so that it's in a good alignment. But after that, you want to shift the attention. So let's try this one together. And if you have a current pain, you might want to try this with us. Okay, we're going to close our eyes. We're going to take a breath from the center of the earth. Breathe it in. Release it like through a blowhole wheel through the top of your head. Then receive through that same blowhole and release through the bottom of your feet. This way we're anchoring the up and down axis. So let's try that again. From the bottom of your feet, up to the level of the heart, and then release through the top of the head. From the head, breathe it in, release through the bottom of the feet. Now, if you have a current pain, allow your attention to find that place. Once you've located it, allow a little bit of expansion around it, just about an inch or two. Once you've given it attention, let's take the attention away from it. Bring your attention to your right foot. Clench your toes until you really have strong attention on the right foot. Let go. Now on the left foot, clench. Give good attention there. Release. Right calf. Tense it. Bring attention there. Release. Left calf. Bring attention. Clench. Release. Right knee. Bring attention. Clench. Release. Left knee. Bring attention. Clench. Release. Upper thigh. Bring attention. Clench. Release. Left thigh. Bring attention. Clench. Release. Right buttocks. Clench. Bring attention to that whole hip area. Release. Left buttocks. Bring attention. Clench. Release. Right hand. Clench. Release. Left hand. Clench. Release. The whole right arm. Bring some attention there. Release. Left arm. Bring some attention there. Release. Right shoulder. Release. Left shoulder. Release. The whole face. Clench it. Release it. Then take a nice big cleansing breath. So what we're doing here is we're doing cross-patterning of the brain. We're giving attention where we want it, moving it where we don't want it. And one more thing I'll share is, if you're dealing with something like this, take walks in the village. Get the attention off your pain. Sitting at home and focusing on the pain, believe me, does not help. Get outside, breathe, smell things, touch things, taste things. Give your mind as many sensory experiences as you can. And then go home and take a good nap. And if you're having trouble sleeping at night, try this moving the attention to different parts of the body and breathe into them. Take really a little more time. We went quickly today because we've got a big agenda. But really bring attention to those different parts of the body. And sometimes by the time I've gotten up to my arms, I'm already asleep. So try that. I hope it helps you. Thank you.
Welcome back. So now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've been waiting for, Delia Suriel, living a life of expression, passion, and possibilities. She says the words passion, creativity, and expression get thrown around like rings to bottles in a penny arcade. But what do they truly mean? And what positive impact do they have on us when we enjoy them, and how are we affected when they're missing from our lives? The Mexicans called Delia Suriel una cajita llena de sorpresas. Little box full of surprises. She's a successful author, jazz singer, retired IT consultant, and world traveler who's lived in 8 different countries. She's going to share her insights into the subject from the perspective of neurological science, her own life, and her observations, while finally divulging her secret recipe for a serious margarita. Let's welcome Delia Suriel.
Yo soy un hombre sincero, de donde crece la barba. Yo soy un hombre sincero, de donde crece la barba. Y antes de morir me quiero echar mis versos del alma. Join me if you know it. Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera. Mi verso es de un verde claro y de un jardín escondido. Mi verso es de un verde claro y de un jardín escondido. Mi verso es pájaro herido que busca en el fuego entero. Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera. So no one told you this was going to be a sing-along. Big surprise. But all the vague, dime store psychology derivatives, do what you love, follow your blessed, find your passion, are perhaps the least useful. What does it mean to live your passion? I heard it's a fruit. A boisterous Latin emotion. What would it really mean to us personally if we live our passion? Let's cut the fluff. I want concrete steps, not posters. Passion has generated a lot of attention. Up to the 1600s, the understanding of passion was primarily its emotional aspects. From Plato to Spinoza, philosophers were very much in line with it. The etymology of the word passion, from the Latin root passio, for suffering. People were viewed as afflicted with passion, experiencing a kind of madness, a loss of control, overwhelmed by their passion,
slaves to their emotion as it comes to control it. I'm not signing up for that one. There's another root to this word passion. It is the word pali, which means enduring. This second perspective is not about increasing stimulus or chasing new thrills. Descartes expressed passion as strong emotions with inherent behavioral tendencies that can be positive as long as reason underlies the behavior. As long as reason underlies the behavior. Hegel argued that passion are necessary to reach the highest level of human achievement. So it sounds like we're discussing two different things here, right? There is passion and there is obsession. In the past 20 years, mostly due to the advances in neuroimaging, we come to understand that there's a structure in the brain called the caudal nucleus that affects a human being's ability to shift emphasis, to go from one thought to another, to migrate from one activity to the other. And for the brain that's primarily obsessive, this structure has tremendous difficulty in shifting. Okay, if we get stuck obsessing over one thought, which then drives compulsive behavior, it's the fundamental issue with those of us afflicted with any addiction. In fact, this term brain locked by the neuroscientist. When the behavior is temporary insanity, as it is with obsessive love, it is caused by physiological lock in the brain. Our ability to self-regulate is utterly compromised, and this is not passion. This is an emotion that drives us, compulsive, unconscious responses, much like a knee-jerk reaction when a doctor hits you on the knee with a mallet. In contrast, passion, what I want to speak to you about today, when observed with sophisticated neuroimaging instruments, balances both parts of the brain, and it's a lot of activity in the prefrontal cortex. So it's not the same thing. There's aspects of it too, but passion and obsession are not the same thing. Passion generates a sense of well-being that gives our lives purpose, and one that we look forward to invest time and energy on a regular basis. Passion is self-directed vision into a core identity, while obsession originates from a different source, compulsive responses, which now can finally be traced to physiological malfunction of the brain. Up to the 19th century, our focus on psychological research had been on understanding pathological behavior. And since the early 1900s, we began to look at positive psychology, both in the medical and psychological arenas. Today, there are centers in UCLA, Yale University, the University of Pennsylvania, and Harvard that actually have departments on positive psychology. And there's hundreds of studies about the benefits of positive psychology. People like Sonia Wojcicki, Martin Seligman, Daniel Gilbert, Barbara Fredrickson, the list goes on. There's a lot of leaders in this area quantifying the benefits of a life animated by passion. While in pursuit of our passions, we experience positive emotions. We feel on purpose, in turn minimizing negative feelings. We experience less conflict internally and lower stress, period. Obsession does not produce any of these benefits. Instead, it interferes with all our life activities and drives compulsive behavior. Hobbies are always confused with passion, but it's a critical difference. A hobby is the pursuit engaged especially for relaxation. Passion, on the other hand, are not relaxing. Passion doesn't leave you alone. Passion inserts themselves into a life whether you have time for them or not. Passion, like love, invigorates you and at times drives you crazy. So passion is not discovering what you like, but what will you be willing to suffer for? What will you be willing to suffer for? And then you get a clue what your passions are. Hobbies can be turned into passion, but a hobby won't provide you the gumption necessary to get through the difficulties, the setbacks, and the challenges as a passion does. A hobbyist photographer will love the click of the shutter, will love the images that she or he produces, but a passionate photographer will continue to pursue that magic despite the bad days, the early mornings, the difficult people, the expensive equipment, the hours of editing, all the events that will stop the hobbyists in their tracks. Passion is not love or responsibility. I raised a child as a single mother, and I remember what it was to come home after a long day at a corporate environment. I remember driving to the bookstores multiple times for the new Harry Potter at midnight. I remember the pursuit of the elusive Beanie Baby. I remember that if I watched The Little Mermaid one more time, I was going to puke. But I also remember a shared passion where my son actually joined me at a karaoke bar and restaurant, not bar. And he bought the house down. And sharing that same passion with him was magical. But that was love, that was responsibility. I watched him his first 18 years and gave him 100% of my love, my commitment. And I provided financial support and put him through college, even though I realized that he was majoring in women and beer. But finally, he was celebrating his college graduation. And subsequent to that, purchasing 3 different cars for him over a 2-year period, I finally realized that I had a choice of whether I was passionate about his life or was going to do the easy things, which was to write him a check. After he souped up his last car and the engine got deflated and everything else, I realized that I had a choice here. And I had to find the courage to tell him, son, whatever it is that I'm doing with my financial help, whatever that financial help is supposed to be doing for you, is not helping you become a man. That's passion. It's doing the difficult thing. You know you found your passion when you continue to do that activity despite its difficulty and its cost. I want you to look around at this space, this beautiful space called Lake Chapala Society, the lily ponds and the gazebo and the coffee shop and all the people you meet here and the activity. This is the passion of one human being. The reason why we're here today is due to the vision of one human being, Neil James. I never met her personally, but I see her life force still affecting this community. I went to a show on July 4th where the artists that she nurtured, these young children, are now masters nurturing young Mexican artists. I sit at breakfast with people that she taught English, who are now have self-sustaining lives as independent business people in the community. That is passion. But less than 0.00001% of all human beings really follow where that passion leads us. Think about it. 1 in a million people follow their passion. Passions are powerful. So you think they'd be very easy to identify. I remember during high school, I was very enamored with science, learning, and I thought, well, I'll pursue that. I was good at math, so I majored in physics and math. Science interests me. It's predictability, it's organization, it's clarity. I believe that my life would be fulfilled solving interesting problems as a physicist. I was wrong. I didn't notice I was so difficult to prep for exams, and only the willpower of Navy SEAL would get me through school. I didn't didn't notice either that I skipped classes to read Ayn Rand and Trevelyan and Rita Mae Brown. I didn't notice that I could sing and play my guitar for hours without the threat of imminent academic failure. I didn't notice how quickly my humanity came alive when I pursued my passions. When you feel aligned with something bigger than your fears, that is the one tint of passion. But we don't notice it, we just do it. Passion is authentic vitality, which comes when we do what comes naturally, when we do what is aligned with who we are. We get energy from doing that energy, from doing that activity. It motivates us to jump out of bed in the morning and look forward to the day ahead. It's not a day filled with activities and appointments. It's energizing, rewarding, and interesting. When we merely exist in fulfill activities of relationship, staying in them will not only increase the rate of our aging process, but it will also cheat us of the innovation to leave a legacy when we depart from this planet. Passion is about authenticity. There's value in not pretending. Passion allows us to develop our own unique personal voice. It provides us a deep sense of meaning and personal identity. People don't introduce themselves as, I write. They introduce themselves as, I'm an author. They don't introduce themselves as, I paint. They say, I'm an artist. Living with passion gives us the courage to express our thoughts, opinions, conviction of life that we love. It happens when we live a life by design, not by default. The identity is not about consumption, it's about shared creation. But being who we are has a price. But it does eliminate the friction of life. When we first go to a doctor, most doctors' offices, they want a biography, they want a history of our medical history, current medications, etc. For the past 35 years, my answer to known allergies is poverty and negative people. How many people do you know primarily talk about their challenges, medical appointments, and disappointment, whose vitality is eroding as they attend to department system that simply doesn't allow them to thrive? Your passion, it will seep in parts of our lives and help affect the interactions we have with others. On the flip side, if we're feeling energized, full of possibilities, that colors our approach and experience about everyone in our else. We are half of the relationships we have. When we show up drained, dejected, it affects our relationships. When we show up on purpose, passionate, then the other people like to be around us because we're half of that relationship. Some of my passions are straight ahead jazz, gifted writers, knowledge-based board games, celebration of life films. We intuitively understand that we're tribal beings by connecting with other people that share our passion, and we have a better chance of finding our tribe when we live that passion. Passion isn't a panacea, of course. It doesn't magically remove all our problems. But creating our unique paths does allow us to live a life that we're meant to live. And so what's the critical part? With all the scientific information, with all the knowledge, with all the benefits of passion, why don't we do it? Why don't we do it? Why don't we do more of that? I want you to look around to the person in front of you, to the friend on the other section, to your spouse and partner next to you. Typically, what stops us in our tracks, typically, the force that keeps us from personal passion is our perception that the most important thing we can do in our lives, that thing that drives us, is never to look foolish. For most of us, it's more important to never look foolish and to arrive at an intimate sense of self-knowledge. This fear of not being part of a tribe is so powerful that it keeps us conforming to a life that perhaps doesn't feed us, which is contrary to the possibility of genuine passion. Nowadays, one of my favorite things to do is when people tell me that they're coming to visit me in Mexico here, and they ask me, isn't it dangerous? And I say, absolutely. It keeps all the fear-based Americans out of the country. Look around. These are the people that left the comfort of that life, the illusion of that life. These are the people that say, in my older years, I want vitality and sunshine and to have a sense of purpose. These are not the people that will shut you down because you follow your passion. This is your tribe, and we have an opportunity to connect with one another. A lot of people think that they're here because it's cheap. No, we're here because we are part of something bigger and a commitment to quality of life. And that is not going to deter us and talk us out of our passion. Your tribe is here. Look around. These are the people who left and did not buy into the fear of propaganda. Okay, so I have 80 pages of notes here. Let's get to the chase. Kierkegaard. I'll close this section with some notes from Kierkegaard. Passion overcomes hardship, takes leaps, makes commitment, and submits to the consequences. No ordinary emotion or even keen desire comes close to being able to do the things that passion does. Only passion steps in, fights, keeps going, where knowledge is ended and cannot guide you. The urge and passion is to live in the truest sense of humanity. It has to do with our status as existential beings, beings that are not rooted in soil, safe and secure. We are inherently subjected to existential uncertainty, non-guarantees, non-adding ups. Hence, no thought, whether visionary, mystical, scientific, or rational, can penetrate the mystery, the pain mystery of our destiny of being thrown into this world. Passion is the engine of existential action, the action which has to take the risk and accept the wound. Passion is for the sake of truth, to find truth, to stand up to truth, to make the sacrifice, and to die for truth. So, let's talk about possibilities. What will you do today if you were not afraid? What will you do today if you were not afraid? Sorry? Go to church? Yeah. I think I was excommunicated from the Catholic Church when I was 17. We're asking interesting questions.
Before you go on, there's a lot of feedback in the speaker system. We don't know why, so would you try to speak through this?
Sure.
And we won't excommunicate you then.
That's what I thought. Something chewing or something.
Yeah. No, that's not.
Test, test, test. Can you hear me?
Yes.
You any better?
Like that old white speaker.
What's it all about, Madison? Is it just for the moment we live? What's the
meant to be kind. And if only fools are kind, Nancy, then I guess it is wise to be cruel. And if life belongs only to the strong, Nancy, what would it take to go on this golden rule? I forgot the rest of the words. What would you do today if you were not afraid? You would sing without warming up your voice. That's what you do. When asked, now that you're 85, what do you see your future? Edward Wilson, a naturalist and author, said, I haven't sensed anything, so I don't think others can tell the difference. I've sensed that there's any deterioration of what I'm doing. What I feel, if I feel that way, I'll stop. What I'll do then is to try to make more time in going back to the field with my butterfly net. Christopher Plover, who's now 84, was asked, what has surprised you the most about being your age? I don't feel any older or less flexible than I did when I was in my 60s or 55. Opportunity just keeps coming. Robert Lechman, who's an illustrator and author at 84, was asked, what did you know now that you didn't know when you were younger? It's important to stay with a project that doesn't give up because it doesn't seem to be breaking you. Whatever it is, I'm reminded of what a Russian scientist once said. Ice appears to crystallize instantly, but the process of forming the ice is slow and invisible. Frank Gehry, architect, now 85, was asked, what has changed the most for you about your work since you hit your 80s? Buildings take 7 years from the time you hire until you finish. You always have to pause in your mind now and get into this new project. And then I think about it. And I say to myself, screw it. Full speed ahead. The courage, the passion springs not only in the ability to persist, but also the ability to start over. The ability to start over. Harvard conducted a study about the adult development, the longest, most comprehensive examination of ages ever conducted. Anybody familiar with that study? And, they found that, okay, cigarettes are not the best thing for you, okay? But it wasn't about cholesterol or those things that we typically say, well, just do that, and that would help slow down the aging process. What they found was coping skills, making lemonades, well, making margaritas out of lemonade, out of lemons, maintaining strong social relationships, pursuing education, were the most affecting aspect of anti-aging. The person, George Valiant, who was a psychiatrist who was the director of the study, said, what's astonishing is how many of the ingredients that predict longevity are within our control. How many of the ingredients that predict longevity are within our control? So what we've learned about possibilities is that it's not about moving that creates new starting points. Sometimes all it takes is a subtle shift in perspective, an opening of the mind, an intentional pause and reset, or a new route to start to see new perspectives. The light of day shows you the limits of possibility. But walk through the dark, the absolute total darkness, and the possibilities are limitless. Most of the corporations that now shape our modern lives, and I'm talking about Google, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, were all started by people in their 20s. And most people think that, well, they're young, they have vitality, they have vigor. I have a different theory. My theory is that they're innocent. They've never been jaded. They've never been thwarted. So that then drives possibility, what is possible in their lives. When we embrace a life of caution, we also forfeit the life of growth. I want to get to the last aspect of my talk, which I want to talk about expression. How many pictures do I have here? Too many. The willingness to look foolish, yes. Okay, so I just want to finish this section. There are 3 obstacles to fully embrace the possibilities in our lives. The tension between the possibility we expire and our wounded memories and past mistakes. The person who dumps garbage into your mind will do you considerably more harm than the person who dumps garbage on your floor. Possibilities means freedom from the box of disappointment, freedom from the judgment of failure, freedom from all your fears. Forgiveness is the alchemy of the soul in which the feeling of possibility returns to the human heart. I'll say that again. Forgiveness is the alchemy of the soul in which the feeling of possibility returns to the human spirit, the human heart. Expression. I let Leonard Cohen share that with you. He said, "Ring the bell that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in." And since I'm out of time, I'll then also let Martha Graham talk about expression, if I find page 82. It's Martha Graham. What is expression? There's a vitality, a life force, an energy, a quickening that is translated through you interaction. And because there's only one of you in all of time, this expression is unique. And if you block it, it will never exist through any other medium and be lost. The world will not have it. It is not your business to determine how good is it, nor how valuable, nor how it compares with other expression. It is your business, your responsibility to keep it yours clearly and directed, to keep the channel open. Thank you. So here's what I learned about what makes a good margarita.
Cuidado lo que dices, que aquí está una margarita.
Aquí está una margarita. I had, I rented this amazing villa, which was sold, so now I'm looking for housing. So if you know any beautiful villas, I'm open to renting it. And I made margaritas from squeezed lemon. There was a lemon tree, and I would ask people to go and get the lemons. And it was just precious to see how everybody had a different style of getting those lemons off that tree. Some people got a broom and start beating the tree. Some people got a chair and reached for that. Some people just shook the tree. And a good margarita, a serious margarita, is about trusting that passion. So yes, I start with a freshly squeezed lemon. I typically have someone to squeeze them. And Grand Marnier. And the clearest, best tequila you can find. Shake, put a lot of your energy into it, and rim the rim of the glass with salt, and share it with a friend. Embrace it, and be willing to be crazy with that other person for a few hours. That, my friend, is the secret of a good margarita.
questions or comments on the subject. So if you have one, raise your hand. Someone will bring you a mic. It's good if you stand.
This margarita learned about the bartender who invented the margaritas in Los Angeles on Wilshire Boulevard, Casa Escobar, the bartender. The secret is 1 jigger of good tequila, 1 jigger of Grand Marnier, and 1 jigger of lime juice. Salt and rim on your glass if you wish. That's the recipe from the original bartender.
Thank you, Mark.
Gracias.
Thank you.
I loved your definition of passion. What are you willing to suffer for? I think that is a tremendous definition of it. When you were talking about positive psychology, the department of that at UCLA, I was reminded of Norman Cousins, who really started that, and called everyone's attention to the fact that because he had a serious illness, not expected to live, he started learning a lot of jokes and listening to a lot of sitcoms, and it's such an important thing. The thing that I really wanted to say, though, was that for me, it's the difference between passion, the way you're describing it, and one who does not have passion, which are most of us apparently, since it's only 1 in a million who really have passion, according to you, is really kind of a Greek definition of the difference between being and doing. And to really be, you're called to something. It's vocare. It's what priests are supposed to be called to, a higher thing, or something that really involves your entire being. Most people, however, just do. They fulfill a resume, they live a life that's expected often by others, where the passion is always there, but they don't follow it. So that's all I wanted to say, if you would comment on that.
Thank you.
Over here.
2 things. Thank you for the idea of being foolish. People have asked me what you do for a living, and I tell them I'm a professional fool. So I appreciate that. And could you sing La Bamba?
Para bailar la bamba, para bailar la bamba se necesita un poquito de gracia para mi fatiga. Yo no soy marinera, yo no soy marinera, soy capitán, soy capitán, soy capitán. Everybody, baila bamba, baila bamba, baila bamba, para 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 para.
Hi, I just wanted to acknowledge the people that aren't the passionate ones. I had a grandmother who was the quiet, tranquil one, and the ones that are not the bright sparks that my dad was the one that's the bright spark that shoots up and shoo, that goes out early sometimes. But I also had the grandmother who was the quiet one, very tranquil, wasn't terribly passionate about everything, but she got a lot of the maintenance of life done. And when I've observed the non-passionate ones, we need those too, because sometimes they're the ones that they're not passionate about one thing, but they're the connective tissue to everything. So if you've been frustrated sometimes when you hear these lectures on passion or you're not the passionate one, you might be the other kind, and we need you too.
Let me say something about that because, in case you haven't noticed, I'm an extrovert. And it's not about the boisterous. It's about that quiet voice that keeps you going. Couldn't Mozart have existed without Leopold? Did Mozart have the passion to teach his child to become this force that so many years, so many centuries later still influences our life and touches us in a profound manner? So it's not about being loud and boisterous. That is not passion. That's what I was trying to explain. It's not insanity, it's not an obsession. There are many, many introverted, quiet people who are passionate, who are living their life force. That's the distinction. So, hope that I made that.
Hi. Hi. Well, that's a good statement for me because that's how I feel that I think we all at some level have a passion for life. And I personally really appreciate your talk this morning because I'm in a time in my life where I've carried a quiet passion and have played it out. And as I look toward the end, you know, this last stretch, I'm really ready to step into that full expression of passion, and I just really appreciate your words.
Oh, yeah!
I'm also outgoing. Anyway, somebody has a passion and they're young and nobody supports them on a passion and they go through their whole life not achieving or being able to really do the passion that they want. What happens to their psyche?
Okay, from my honorary degree from Harvard, I'll let you know that. My opinion is that we become our habits. So we become what we have been doing for many, many years, and we find comfort in that habit. But there's something within us that keeps nudging, and it's a very small voice that keeps prompting us to really follow that passion. As human beings, we need the encouragement of other human beings. So I really encourage that person to find their tribe, to find at least one other human being who shares that passion, who supports you, who can see that vision, who encourages you. So that would be the first step, because to die with your music in you is a travesty. That's my opinion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dilia. So I will conclude for today. Don't forget to come back next week for magnificent stories of all ethnicities. And bring your mug and stack your chairs. I don't think we're supposed to leave if I don't. Nobody told me. Thank you for coming.
Margarita, no Jack.
Diane. Yes, I know. We already talked to her. I already talked to her.
On sleep, I have a theory that when you dream, or if you dream heavy, heavy dreams, that really takes away from your sleep time. Have you ever heard of such a thing?
No, au contraire. I've heard that when you have dreams, that your REM sleep, it's the most reparative of all sleep. Aim to have that at least once during your night.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello. What do I do in my case? I have quite a severe osteoporosis. I exercise, I eat very healthy. What else can I do?
Well, see your doctor, of course. There are some medications. I don't know anything about them. I'm not a medical doctor. Your exercise, you're doing something reasonably well?
We're doing Tai Chi.
Yes, but what about weightlifting, something that...
I'm a little bit afraid about that.
Yeah, I would look into it, get a trainer who's not going to push you too much, but the way your bones are protected is when they get the message from the muscle that they need to work harder, they do. You're not stressing them enough. It's good stress, but you have to challenge them, otherwise they won't grow.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I do walk about almost an hour a day, briskly, 6 days a week, but one of the things that I just became familiar with, which I did not know about, there's a huge craze around the world for pickleball. And it's coming here. And so for those of you who don't know what it is, it's a court that's about a third of the size of a tennis court, and you use a paddle with a wiffle ball. And in retirement communities all over the United States, I know, and I think in Canada probably too, you don't have to run like you would with tennis, but you get a lot of exercise. It's not as fast a game, because obviously a wiffle ball, isn't going to hurt you, nor do you have to go very far. But there are 2 courts now in Racket Club, and there are going to be a number of them all around this area. And they're starting a pickleball association. So just watch for that, because it could be a tremendous exercise opportunity for a lot of people, so that you can still get what you need without hurting yourself.
Those courts aren't built yet, but they're coming, and that will be great. Because what we need are sports that seniors can do right away. You don't have to take lessons for 10 years. Anything else here? Wait for the mic.
I just wanted to know if there was any place, I'm new here a couple of months, and I just wondered if there was any place to start looking, like a list of yoga studios or places, you know, that were cumulative, where I wouldn't have to just go looking all over the place.
There's a number of independent ones here and there, but yes, go to the Drishti Center behind Lloyd, across from Super Lake, the street that goes up the little theater, there's a center there. Yes.
I just want to post one thing. I'm sorry, you mentioned getting a personal trainer. Personal trainers are great, and I really agree. The point I want to make is you don't have to sign up for a long term. You just get somebody one day and get them to put you on the right program, send you on the right track. Some of them will come to your home. You don't have to join a gym. You don't have to make a long-term commitment. You can find a lot of really good personal trainers cards at gyms. And then buy the one you want, buy the recommendation, but you don't have to sign up for long term. You just do it one time. And if you like it, you go on, but just do it one time. Just get started. That's the whole point.
Thank you very much. You know, you're really cute. Are you available?
Who was she talking to?
That's my husband. Not David. No. Karuna, you had something in mind tonight. Stand up.
I would just like to mention aquarobics. Aquarobics, yeah, it's real easy. You don't feel you're doing any exercise. I go to the Riviera del Pilar covered swimming pool 3 times a week, and I believe you really work your muscles, but you don't notice it. It's not stressful at all. And I used to worry about getting my hair wet, but you have to wear a cap. So it's not that bad. Really, really recommend it.
Thank you. You sweat, but you don't notice it because you're in the water. Okay, I think this will be our last. The rest will go on forever.
Well, several years ago, I had bought a little paperback book, and it said Sexercises. It hasn't been mentioned here, but there were so many body movements, and I thought it would be good for the back. So I don't have advice, I have this question. Will somebody fill in on how good sex might be?
Yes, well, that's a topic for another discussion. I'm sure if you look on Amazon, you'll find exactly what you're looking for. Thank you.
It's been a wonderful session. Thank you so much, Kathy. Thank you all of you for coming, and we hope you'll come back next week to learn about our theaters. So please dispose correctly of your coffee cups. It seems like we were going to put a trash can there, but I guess today you'll have to go there and stack your chairs. Thank you so much.